Hey, everybody, welcome to day 4 of how to make money with email. Yeah, I did it. I put on a flannel. I told you yesterday I was going to do it, or I wanted to, so I did. And the reason it's justified because it's only going to be 92 degrees here in Phoenix. For those of you who know Celsius, that's like 45 Celsius or something. I don't. Anyway, it's actually justified because we're going to go to a movie this afternoon. That's one of the great things about running your own business is if you want to go to a 3 o'clock showing of Tron with your son-in-law who's just really wants to see it, you do that and you can. But when you go to a movie theater in Phoenix, you bundle up. It's like parka type of weather. They do not mess around over here. So that's one thing I've learned in life. And that's one thing I can teach you. It has nothing to do with email. Bundle up if you go to a movie theater in Arizona. All right. So let's talk about how to go. Anybody launch anything? Any success stories? Anybody feeling good about what they did? I would love to, over the chat, let me know what you got done. Or if you are struggling, hey, it's okay. Virtual hug. Let's get it fixed. I'm here to help. At the end of this session today, tell me where you are stuck and we will get you unstuck. All right. Melissa's got a forever series already going. I love it. When you say you did it, how many did you write? What to do with an old ebook lead magnet? Okay, that's a good question. Let's unmute and talk about that one, Melissa. That's a great question.
Oh,
So
I guess
what?
I was unmuted. Oops.
Oh,
Uh,
renegade. Tell me about this. What is this ebook lead magnet?
yeah, it was a very successful lead magnet, like how to find lightweight hair products at any store. And I was thinking of either like converting it into a web page or selling it as an ebook.
When you say it was successful, what does that mean?
People signed up for my mailing list in higher amounts than they did before I had the lead magnet. Or
Okay.
actually I had another lead magnet before, but it was terrible.
Okay. So this is the best performing lead magnet that you've had.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, first of all, um, keep in mind that may still be the hook to run. Like I've been giving you all this other mumbo jumbo about quick start guides and whatever, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what we're trying to find out is can you outperform that with some of these other things? So what to do with this one? Well, you may want to bring it back as a lead magnet, but maybe what you do is you you turn it into an email series where the content drives them in each email like we've been doing back to the website, and you deliver the ebook in the first email. So if it's how to do blank, I've already forgotten what you said. Um, But if it's how to do blank, then you might say, as promised, here's your free, you know, resource, the such and such ebook. Download it here. Now we're going to get into, how you actually do this. And then you just start telling them. And so it's the same, maybe it's the same content that's in the ebook or something similar or adjacent to it, but you're driving them back to the website for 4 or 5 days in a row instead of just, how I feel about ebooks and what they actually bring as far as traffic. So you get the best of both worlds. You promised them this thing and you gave yourself permission to send them 5 emails in a row. So that's one thing. Another thing too is you might try it as a paid product. No idea if that would work for you, but we're going to talk about how to make money with email over the next 2 days, and maybe that's something, maybe that becomes a paid product for you. So hold on for that. Good. All right. Anybody else got anything exciting that they did, got done that they want to share? Or has anybody launched a quick start guide yet? I haven't heard of anybody in this session that has actually got it done. So do you want to be the first to come brag? All right. Look, slackers, let's go. Let's get it up there. We can do it. Today's your day. I feel it. I feel it. While I'm at the movies, you're going to be working, and that's how it should be, I think. Okay, let's get into how to make money with email because that's why you are here. All right, I'm going to share with you a presentation. The slides that I'm going to share with you today are from a presentation I gave at Tastemaker a little while back. In fact, a year and change ago. But the slides are still relevant, and I didn't want to redo them. So um, we're going to skip down to here. What would I do if I knew I had 6 months before I was going to have major changes to my traffic. I have front row seats right now through by virtue of my work with clients. I see their traffic. I see the traffic sources. I get to see what's happening. Some of my clients are going up and some are going down in terms of traffic. Some are hanging right where they have been for the last year. It's all over the place. My guess is that you are one of those three. But if there's a time in history where there might be major changes to your traffic, it's probably right about now. With all the things that are happening with AI, with search, with Pinterest, with Facebook, all the ways that you've been getting traffic to this point. If I knew that I had 6 months before I was going to have major changes to my traffic, what would I be doing? Well, no big surprise here. I would be building my email list as big as possible. The reasons for that are probably obvious. We've been talking about many of them, but some of them may not be as obvious, and I want to make sure that we cover some of this briefly. First of all, when you have this list, you drive your own traffic where you want it to go. When you have a new blog post, when you have a new video, when you launch a product, everybody is just an email away. And it's one of those things where if you're not dependent upon an algorithm to drive the traffic. It isn't like I make this thing and then I put it out on social media and hope that the algorithm favors me and somebody sees it. You're doing that every single day. You do that with social media, aren't you? So email allows you to steer people where you want them to go. And as part of that, you might want to jumpstart new channels or unlock new revenue streams. I think you get where they're going with that. But this right here, this is the one I want to spend just a minute on and be all high and mighty for a second. Now, remember, this was written for food creators, but this probably applies to everybody on this call. You are more than just a search result. You have been doing what you're doing for quite some time now. You've been creating valuable content that has been of service for years. Otherwise, you wouldn't be with Raptive. My feeling is that there is going to be a percentage of you that, yay, have ranked #1 on Google, or yay, figured out that how to get traffic from Pinterest, or yay, figured out Facebook groups somehow. Does that mean that you have a brand? Or are you just a convenient social media search algorithm transaction? All right, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but I'm trying to illustrate the point that your opportunity is to explain who you are and what makes you different. And email is one of the few ways that you can actually do that. Remember, telling a story, creating a journey. You are an important part of that story. And you get to decide where you fit into their journey through email. You literally cannot do that in any other way that I can think of. Is there any other marketing medium or communication medium where you can do that? I don't think so. You can't do it on YouTube because your YouTube followers don't actually get shown your stuff. You can't do it on Instagram. Hashtags don't even work. You know where I'm going with this. I'll stop the rant now. Email is one of the very few places where if you want to explain what makes you different. Now, some of you have struggled with this. And the reason I am hammering on this before we're getting into all the money-making things is because if you don't have this figured out, all the rest of it will be, okay? So who you are and what makes you special and what real estate you occupy in the mind of your subscribers has everything to do with the success that you'll have in selling them or making money in some other way. About a year ago, I interviewed one of my mentors in life. His name is Greg Head, and I may have mentioned this already, but I really want to advocate for this and the reason for this is because I talk to so many clients, and it's every week. The lament that I hear is I don't rank for this anymore. I don't really know who I am. I don't really know where I stand out. So I want you, if that's you at all, I want you to go to the Email and Autopilot Facebook group. And I want you to search for my interview with Greg. Greg Head is his name. He's not even in the blogging space. He's just a really smart business guy. And he taught me a lesson over a decade ago when I was struggling with this exact same thing with a company. And he basically outlined the difference between branding and positioning. Positioning is, again, the real estate that you occupy in the mind of your audience. Who are you to them? As I have mentioned, I have interests in a lot of different things. I've been doing small business for the last 30 years. I've done a lot of things. I have a ton of experience in e-commerce. But my guess is that where I fit in the real estate of your mind is Matt Mullen, email marketing guy for bloggers. Okay? Is that accurate? That doesn't paint the whole picture of who I am and what I can do, but doggone it, it narrows it down for you, doesn't it? Where you're like, how can Matt help me in my world? So what is that real estate for you? And this is not a rhetorical question. This is, or if you don't have this figured out, it's all the rest of this is going to be very difficult. So please spend some time thinking about that and soul searching, because once you do figure that out, even if it means that it feels like you're starting over, now the path becomes clear. Your content creation strategies get lined up, your email strategies, your product market, what you're going to launch, services, who you're going to partner with, all of that becomes much more clear instead of chasing algorithms. All right, let's talk about how you make money with email. Now, I have some bad news for you. Sorry, but there aren't a lot of easy ways to make money with email. If there were, you'd already be doing them. Let's just be honest about that. In this industry, you would have had a friend that said you should be doing such, and you would be doing that. So we're going to talk about the easiest things first, and then we're going to get into the ones that show that you're really serious about this. But before we do that, I want to show you this super cute stock art baby to remind you that you did not start making money right away when you first started creating content. I don't know of anybody who did. You started creating content, and then you learned as you went. You crawl before you walk before you run. That is true with email marketing as well. You may be crawling right now. You may have just, you got your baby rattle and diapers, and that may be where you are in this stage, and that's totally fine. You may, when I share a bunch of this stuff over the next 2 days, you may go, what? How would that even, okay? And I just want you to jot the ideas down and remember them for later, or think about how that can apply to your business now or directionally where you want to head. But I do want to give you the encouragement that you have the fundamentals, the foundations for running and making money with email. Let's get into it. Easy way number one to make more money with email. First of all, follow what Raptive and Mediavine are doing. Yes, I'm including the name of Mediavine in a Raptive sponsored mastermind because they are also a signal to what's happening in this industry and how email is shaping it. First-party data, without getting into all the technical details here, first-party data is still highly valuable, even if Google hangs on to cookies, which that's a whole different discussion. First-party data is even more valuable. We know this if by no other means than to follow the money. Look at what Mediavine has done. Look at what Raptive has done in the last 2 or 3 years. They are investing very heavily in this. Mediavine has launched programs such as PrintPass, Spotlight Subscribe, AutoMailer, different types of forms that they make available as part of their what's it called? Grow. As part of Grow, because they're capturing email subscribers, email addresses, so that they can serve better ads. I'll explain that in a minute. Raptive calls it Newsletter ID. If you're unfamiliar with this, by the way, you need to get that fixed. We're going to bring this up here. Uh, this article, I'll drop it in the chat. Should have had it up already. Sorry. We're going to talk about this in just a minute. So you're going to want to hang on to this, but this newsletter ID and all the things that they are doing as far as real company investments, they're spending real dollars on not just having a guy like me teach you a mastermind, but they're paying much more for all the software that they're creating, the partnerships that they've come up with. They have teams that have done for you at their highest levels because they know the value of a luminaries list. Now, this newsletter ID thing, we need to talk about this. This is basically adding a URL parameter to the end of every link in every email. Let's look at this for a second. So if you have, oh golly, let's come down here. If you have this, if you're going to link to this particular URL from a newsletter, if you're running ActiveCampaign, you append this string to the end of the URL, and you do it at the end of every single URL. And what is happening when you do that is that's telling Raptive, hey, this is the email address. Now, why does Raptive care? They collect that and they go, gotcha. Because there are data stores that know a ton in a privacy-friendly way that know a ton about an email address. Let's think about that for a second. If we get Tony's email address, we can probably learn that he loves to shop at Nordstrom online, and that he stays at Hilton's, and that he has a real thing for photos of of furry cats. Okay, that type of information is valuable to advertisers. The more that they know about Tony and his loves and his behaviors, the more that they're going to serve up ads that are about Hilton and with cats wearing Nordstrom apparel. All right? So that's why they want to know this. This information is what they do with this is they hash it. For all intents and purposes, that means that they obscure it. They make it unreadable by a human. You're safe. It's not like your privacy is being, Big Brother isn't necessarily watching in the way that is the most nefarious way possible. But the advertisers are then able to say, when I see that hashed string that equals Tony, I don't actually know who Tony is or where he is in the world, but when it pops up, we're going to show these ads. Now, when Shannon puts that at the end of her links and she gets Tony's email address, that helps Shannon for Raptive to show more valuable ads to Tony. Guess who that also helps? It helps Aaron and Rosemary and Anna because they are also on Raptive, and Raptive knows that when Tony visits Anna's site now, thanks Shannon, Anna's going to get paid more. This is the network effect and why they are all in on capturing emails. Did that make sense? I hope I explained that in a way that gets you a little pumped about this. What's the difference? Well, James Baldwin, who's in charge of engineering at Raptive, has told me multiple times that the lift is about 40% higher RPMs on identified email addresses. Now I'm finally getting around to it. This is how you make more money, okay? You can make 40% more on Tony when you have his ID. Because Hilton now knows to show an ad to Tony when he visits Anna's website. Now this piece right here, this is the big bugaboo for some of you. I hope you understand you have to apply this to the end of every link. That's why Raptive has this article that explains with every email platform, you have to add this to the end. Now for Everybody who is not on Kit, this is a manual process. When this came out, I said, I am not doing this. And I contacted the CEO of Kit, who I happen to know, and I connected him to James, and James and Nathan got together, and now Kit has this embedded automatically. Okay, you're welcome. That was very selfish of me on my part because I was not going to add this. And I think it's made Raptive and Kit a lot of money actually, and hopefully you too. But when you get this, if you have Kit, you go into the advanced tracking, the advanced settings section, and you flip these switches, these two. They need to be on. Do not pass go until you go check that if you're on Kit. All right? The rest of you who are not on Kit, you're probably wondering, Flowdesk, we have the Flowdeskers here. You have to have this at the end of every link. The nice thing about this, by the way, is that you're going to have past links from Forever Series or sequences or whatever. You're going to have to, in all the other platforms, you have to go back and edit every single link. In Kit, you won't have to because this is automatically on. If you're on Flowdesk, here you go. We've got a bunch of people on MailChimp. Here you go. MailerLite. Whatever your platform is, it's on here. If this does give you reason to, if this was the thing that puts you over the top, we want to move to Kit, then I gave you that link or whatever. But email me directly. They have a free migration. They'll migrate you for free. You'll get 30 days free. I will help oversee the migration, Melissa, if you decide you want to do that. All right, moving on. In short, they're investing real money. This is how they use the email address. I covered all that. More emails equals better targeting. Better targeting means more dollars from advertising. That was easy way number one. Are you ready for easy way number two? Shannon's like, will you finally get to it? Okay, here we go. This one, send more emails. I know that feels like cheating, but legit, you will make more money when you send more emails for the reasons that we just discussed. You may be using this list. You may have a list, but you're not using it to its full capacity. We talked about this yesterday. How often should you send? So I won't go back over that again. But if you're getting more, you're getting higher RPMs from the people who are ID'd, and just the nature of driving traffic to your website or your channel of choice. When you send more emails, you're in more of a service mode. People get used to you sending more. It's okay if you do it strategically. Easy way number three, email more about your moneymakers. Not all of your posts are created equal from an RPM perspective. You know which ones they are. It's probably your favorite thing to look at in your dashboard, aside from the actual, how much you made. And it's kind of interesting. For my Disney Cruise stuff, a Mickey Mouse coloring page has a very, very low RPM. But something about the Aulani Hotel in Hawaii has very high RPMs. What's the difference? How long people are on the site and what advertisers are willing to pay to be on that related content. That's kind of the formula. So if all else is equal, why not send more emails with links that have higher RPMs? So here's a very real example. In this case, look at this one. This one had 11,000 page views. This has 32,000 page views. But the difference in the RPMs from $20 to $50 make it so that even though this one had 3 times the traffic, 4 times the traffic, it made almost the same amount as the other one. Now, how would you do that in practice? Of course, you're not going to send the same thing over and over and over and over again. Or are you? You can probably send it more often than you think. Roundups are a great way to do this. It's another argument for roundups. If the chocolate chip cookie, because that's a nice, easy thing, if that one outperforms everything else from an RPM perspective, can we find more ways to talk about it? Can we might have my favorite cookies, could be really on the nose, but it also could be my favorite recipes to make when I'm in a mood. And then you could have the ravioli, you could have the quinoa corn dogs, and you could have the chocolate chip cookie. You see how you just insert that into this roundup? Now, let's not be weird, okay? If tuna casserole is your number one highest RPMs, but you know that nobody in the world likes tuna casserole, don't force it, right? Be reasonable, but you get where I'm going here. I probably don't need to give you that lecture. Number 4, this one's fun. I think this might help one of you. Many of you tell me that email is expensive. When people tell me how expensive email is, that instantly tells me what you're doing with your email, which is virtually nothing. Ooh, that sounded like a jerk. I didn't mean for that to be a jerk. But when I hear that, that's what goes on in my head. Usually what goes on in my head is like, sell me your list and I'll make some money with it. Understanding your ROI. Look, I get it. We have to monitor costs, especially in this environment. But when you are nickel and diming a technological platform, when you could be investing and growing and doing the stuff we're going to talk about for the next few days, that is a totally different mindset. So to help with that, to help you move from a thinking of email as a cost center to a profit center, I want you to go ahead, grab this. Let me pull this up here. I'll drop this into this. If you want to grab this, come on up here, file, make a copy, and then fill in these yellows. All right. If this is your number of email subscribers and you're sending 12 per month and you get approximately 1.5 views per click, what's your RPM? I'm going to show you how to find that out here in a minute. Drop in your email service provider cost. What's your average click-throughs? It's going to spit this out. Okay. You might actually be making money. Look what happens when we go from, what is that, 3 a week to 4 a week. Okay. We made another $150 a month. Is that everything in the world? No, but that adds up over time and your audience gets used to it. This right here. How many of you have gone in and done this analysis? So you go into your dashboard, by traffic source. Now, for many of you, if you've not been sending emails regularly, the numbers are going to look awful. They're going to look terrible for email because Raptive doesn't have any data to speak of. And if you just got started, you have to give this at least 90 days for Raptive to figure it out. But after that, then you start monitoring this. So this particular person, they have right here, you'll have sessions and page views. Over here on that calculator, it's based off of page views. So you'll want to toggle it back to page views to get that number. And remember, it's going to change just like all RPMs do all year long. So you could look at it from a year perspective. You could look at it for the last several months. You could look at it for the quarter, whatever. You could look at it for last month. The month is the most relevant thing probably. And then drop that in there. And then you've got a peanut butter worthy number that you can use going forward. So in this case, email has an RPM, a session RPM of $50. It's about $30 on the page view. Okay. So it's probably 29 or something like that. It also tells you pages per session. What does that tell you? That tells you how engaged email is for this particular person. These people, when they come in through email, they're actually bouncing around the site a little bit more, aren't they? And then, okay, over here, Amina asks the right question. Um, my email RPM is low compared to other sources, low 20s. That's on a page view, that's for food, Amina, that's not unheard of. It'll go up higher during the fourth quarter. Um, but it's this number here. Well, of course, your earnings help. But this pages per session, which kind of gives you a look. So, how valuable is it over time? It might inch up in the sessions ranking. But I guess my point here is that, okay, maybe it's a little bit lower than some of these other sources. What can you control? If I'm running a business and I could get the Pinterest level RPMs, I would do that all day long. Who wouldn't? All right. And if that's you and you can tap into that, then awesome. Unfortunately, we don't often have that luxury. So here's something that you can control. And so from an email ROI, your email, you can start to look at this. All right. Does this work if you only work if you implement the UTM params? Yeah, I think so, Melissa. The answer is I think so. So if you're showing blanks, it's probably because of this over here. We don't have this because Raptive doesn't know. Um, Google Analytics is going to make some guesses, but they're only making guesses too. But like in this particular case, I know that this website has the parameters connected, so I trust these numbers. By the way, what I also do as an aside is I check these numbers against what Google Analytics shows me. I'm not going to teach this today. You can chat GPT this, but in GA4 for Google Analytics, you want to know what your source is. Okay. And you can go see what your page views and sessions were for that same time period. And then they should match pretty close. If they don't match, then Raptive may not have the same information yet. Or your UTM parameters may be wrongly configured. All right. If you run into that where you've been emailing a lot, but Raptive doesn't show any of this, support@raptive.com. Let them know, take some screenshots, show them, and then let's figure that out because this is hugely valuable for tracking. Okay. Did I get all the questions done? Kit's my biggest tech expense of all, but it has the highest ROI. I should prioritize this for forever series. Yes. All right. For the kit, if we don't use the kit plugin, should we not have the top? You don't have, so for those that are using kit, Aaron is asking on this one. I don't even know if you can see this very well. Let's see if I can make that a little larger. Yeah, there we go. Should you have this top one? I never really use that one, Aaron. That's for very specific circumstances where you are tracking this. Raptive gets everything they need from these two. So you don't have to have that. There are certain edge cases where it's really, really helpful with your Google Analytics, but for the most part, especially my food creator friends don't really need that. And you'll see in your Google Analytics, it will take, say, website.com/cookie recipe, and then it'll have data for that. And then it's going to treat as a separate line item, cookie recipe, CK subscriber ID equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they'll do that for all of them. And it just creates a big mess in your Google Analytics. Anyway, that's been my experience. Most people don't need that, but it doesn't really hurt you either. Good questions. All right, I'm going to move on. But if you have any questions about figuring out if you're making any, remember, this doesn't take into consideration affiliate. It doesn't take into consideration sales or anything of the other stuff that we're going to talk about here in a minute. It is primarily just ads through Raptive. That's it. So can you make enough money with your email just by driving traffic and getting more? And some of you have niches where it's harder. The RPMs change a lot depending on who you are and what you're promoting. Comparing RPMs, by the way, I don't know how useful that is, honestly. Because even within food, and food I just keep coming back to because it's a nice simple example, but even within food, I've seen people that have like gourmet stuff, tomahawk steak or something like that. The RPMs will be through the roof on something like that. When you've got the butternut squash soup, or heaven forbid, something about zucchini, it's, your RPMs are going to be half what the tomahawk steak was. So you're comparing, it's really hard to make those comparisons with somebody else. So don't fall into that trap. Raptive is a great place to go if you want to increase your RPMs as a whole, not whoever's in your mastermind group or your Facebook group. Right. Now, sorry, this slide does not have the easy word in here anymore. All right, so we're moving on past the easy. That was it. That was the short, easy list. So now let's get going. But before we do, again, much of what I'm sharing today is not even about email, really. I want to start here. We're going back to who you are and what problem you can solve. I told you that this was going to be important. So truly, how can you help people? What problems do you solve for them? Because this is where the power of segmentation comes into play. I know you already know what segmentation is. I'm just talking about from an email perspective, literally dividing your list and growing it in different reader types. Sending those different reader types different messages than what everybody else gets because they have different problems. One size fits all is not necessarily the best way to look at your website or your newsletter. Todd already identified the difference between families with teens and families with youngsters. Those are going to be very different things they're going to want to do in San Diego. Those are different audiences. The super scary haunted houses that are gory and really frightening and cause, post-traumatic syndrome later on in life. I'm not taking my granddaughter to that. Okay? So how are you going to help me? Segmentation leads to, this is the obvious stuff, it leads to better open rates. As you narrow down your solutions, it's going to lead to increased sales on whatever you're selling. And a sale could be not just you selling a product, it could be sponsors, it could be affiliate it could be affiliate offers, it could be anything. Or just clicks. It really comes down to this. Solve my problems and maybe I'll buy from you. You and I don't have the brand cachet of Walmart or the budgets of Amazon. We just don't. And so what we do is we do our darndest to build up trust so that we earn the right to sell something to them. So here's how we do this. Very functional. Okay, thanks, Matt, for the most basic thing in the world. Well, here it is, the most basic thing in the world. You build trust by building lists of segments. And you continue to serve them through email with free stuff, and then you monetize after you've built trust. Can I say that more simply? I don't know. But that's what we're going to do. So in order to do that, what are your top segments? Because I'm thirsty and I've got Diet Mountain Dew here waiting for me. My doctor told me I need more green in my diet, so that's my answer. I want you to make a list of your top 5 segments. And I want you to put it into chat because I'm going to give you gold stars or I'm going to blow you up, one of the two. All right? No, I'm being very nice today. Let's talk about your segments. Who can you serve? So go ahead and put it in the chat because I may push back on you a little bit. I shouldn't have said that because now nobody's going to put anything in the chat. Okay. Danielle and Misty, if that's your real name, is honestly struggling with what a lot of people struggle with here. So let's go through it, Danielle and Misty. I want you to think about who your audience is and who you serve. Let's just take a stab at it and we can talk about it. All right. All right, Melissa, a little bit easier, maybe, right? You either have wavy hair or you have curly hair. You have low porosity hair or you have high porosity hair. All right. You may be, you probably have age groups in there. I don't know. Is that a segment for you? Do you have, uh, I don't know, is ethnicity a segment? Are there other genetics that factor in? I don't know. You might be
Um,
thinking, oh, yeah.
I don't have that data and I don't know how to get that. I mean, the old Google Analytics I did, but not GA4.
Forget the data. What do who do you serve or who do you want
Oh,
to
so
serve?
this is not literally like the segments I have in my email software.
Right. This is,
Okay.
yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So for clarification for everybody, this is who are the types of people that you serve? That's probably a better way to put it. But you do have that wavy hair and curly hair, low porosity, and because those are different people with different needs. The wavy hair person is very different from somebody who has very straight hair and can't get any curl in it. All right, so Shannon has got people who want to declutter. We got people who want to organize. We got people who that want to clean, and some that want to decorate. There's a lot of crossover in that, I'm sure, but they aren't necessarily the same. So you've identified, those segments. Comfort food, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free. Okay, so I don't know about comfort, maybe, Aaron. I don't know if that's a full segment. I think everybody likes comfort food, but vegans have a very specific way of eating. Gluten-free, I know that's a very powerful segment. Um, what else do you have? Do you have anything in the way of moms with kids? I have one client where she serves people who are empty nesters and are making food for one. That's a very specific segment, isn't it? So maybe you have something like that. All right, we've got families traveling to San Diego, couples traveling to San Diego, local San Diegans um, who just want to keep it classy. We've got solo travelers traveling to San Diego. Okay, very good. Moms with kids, new to the Mediterranean, I assume, cuisine, and want to explore new dishes. What does that look like, though, Amina? Just think about that. Because if you're new to, why would you care if you're new to that cuisine? Vegetarians, cooks interested in meal planning, because is it that they're expats? Is it that their parents, come from that region? Why do they care? Beginner, Aaron, oh boy. Yeah, you've got all sorts, don't you? Beginners versus advanced. Is freebie seekers really a segment? Crocheters who buy patterns. Doesn't I know that there are cheap there are cheap crocheters and that there's those that are willing to pay for it. That's a tougher I have a hard time wrapping my head around what the demographics or what that looks like exactly. So I kind of feel like the the style, the taste, and the skill set are probably the ones that jump out at me. But maybe um, parents of teens, parents of kids, party host teens. Okay, Lucy's got a very specific audience. You've been dealing with that for a long time, I'm sure, and figuring out who those people are. Um, Danielle and Misty, let's let's just for let's just spend 30 seconds on it. Do you want to unmute? Are you around?
Yes. And sorry, it's just Danielle.
I know. I just keep giving you a hard
Okay,
time.
okay, that's fine. I just wanted you to know who it actually was.
I knew it was you. I'm just teasing you. All right. So walk me through it. So when you're struggling with this,
Yeah,
is that because you feel like your website is more general recipes?
yes, definitely. So, I mean, someone like, might come to us for a slow cooker meal or a one pot dinner, but really they're just looking to get dinner on the table. Are they specifically slow cooker? Are they specifically one pot? Do they only eat chicken? I don't know.
That is a great point. Okay, let's tear that apart. You do know some segments within that. Slow
Okay.
cooker is one because the fact that they own a slow cooker tells you something about them, and you can serve them differently than people who don't have slow cooker or don't cook with one.
Are there people that don't? Just kidding, but okay. Okay.
Lazy people.
Yeah,
Then
okay.
you've got now one pot, maybe not so much because that's not necessarily a device that they own that they went out and purchased. See the
Okay.
difference there? It's a slight nuance difference, but you can do something special with slow cooker that you can't do with one pot. You could have, and we'll talk about it later, you could have an entire email series that's just devoted to email or to slow cooker recipes and slow cooker devices and slow cooker accessories and slow cooker products. Like literally, slow cooker is a segment you could build.
Okay.
Now, so there's those that are device specific. Aaron has dietary specific. You might also just have lifestyle specific where you're like, look, I happen to know through the demographics, through surveys, through checking some of this stuff out, or just who I am as a person who I can serve is I can really kill it for people who have elementary school age kids. That's who I really serve. And I have stuff for everybody else, but I'm talking to that person. I've decided that I'm leaning into that because just like with me, I teach email marketing in all sorts of different ways. But to you, you know me as the email marketer for bloggers. So,
Yes.
so
Okay.
you get to choose what these segments are,
Yeah.
and who you want to really carve out your.
So we did do a survey earlier this year and got back some information on that. So maybe I could use that to help guide what people were the most interested in.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now, here's the problem with surveys for all y'all. Very few people, percentage-wise, fill it out. So it's not a full representation of your audience. It is a
Yeah.
picture of some of the most vocal people in your audience. And if there's enough of it directionally, I just use those typically to either confirm, bias that I already had, or to open up my eyes to something I hadn't really thought of. Not necessarily having it as gospel truth, but it certainly is directionally helpful for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, we got Tony knows his, I would think, because it's very specific problems that Tony serves. Anna, wow. Okay, you're the first person that I've ever worked with that has these segments. um, that's pretty cool, actually. And that opens up a lot of possibilities, honestly. Pat Flynn always talks about the riches are in the niches. When you really talk to this person, they're like, Anna gets me. I'm putting on my 1800 garb and I'm going to do the Thanksgiving the way that they would, the pilgrims would. I don't know.
My favorite is the 1800s romance writers who show up in my email asking what their heroine should cook for this
Oh
meal.
my goodness.
It's super fun. I love it.
That is fun. Um, all right. And then, yes, Rose, certainly yours is, I think you over time have earned and have cultivated a very specific audience that loves it. And um, I will just I'll point this out for everybody. If you want to see this in action, go to an Italianinmykitchen.com.
Thanks.
Because you'll see how how Rose, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Rose, I apologize, but
No, it's-
you've leaned into your life experience, your
Mhm.
heritage, your family, and you said, I'm not New York style Italian.
yeah.
You want to talk about that just briefly about how you kind of came to your audience and your
Uh,
voice?
Well, I met my husband in Toronto, and I moved to Rome, well, just outside of Rome, and I learned to cook Italian, like authentic Italian, from my mother-in-law and my sister-in-laws and friends, and I brought that towards a blog and just started sharing how Italians actually cook Italian without,
I hope you all
as
gathered.
my daughter says,
Her husband is Italian.
carbonara without cream.
Yeah. Someday when we have more time on this mastermind, or you sit down with Rosemary, have her tell you the story of how they met. That is an awesome story. All right, thank you for sharing that. So you get the idea, folks, because once you start narrowing that down, all the rest of this is going to be easier. So here's how we do this with email. A couple of quick things. Maybe you've figured this out, or you're wanting, you know where you're going to go. First of all, we talked about you can send a survey. I just gave you all the reasons why that's not going to tell you everything, because you're not going to be able to segment everybody into their, you can just say, hey, are you into slow cooker? And if they participate, then yeah, you can drop them into a slow cooker segment. That's what I'm talking about here. But not everybody's going to do that, first of all. And second, the tricky part about this is that you have to technically figure out how to match their email address to their answer, depending on the survey platform that you're using. It can be done, but it is a little bit of some gymnastics that you have to do to make that happen. You can also tag your links. So if Danielle is sending out a roundup this weekend about what she's making for fall, and one of those happens to be a slow cooker recipe, she could put a link trigger on that when they click it, it tags them with interest slow cooker, because they're voting with their fingers. Now, you could do that with interest chicken, but that doesn't really tell you anything. So I wouldn't bother with that. Okay, so pick the segments that make the most sense. You can go back in time. Maybe you did a lead magnet on how to find shampoo for wavy hair. You could probably take a guess and go, everybody who signed up for that thing has an interest in wavy hair. Boop. Give it a whirl, But this is the best approach, is what I've already taught you. Create a lead magnet or a quick start guide for each segment. What happens when Danielle goes into WordPress and all of her recipes that are slow cooker are neatly organized in this WordPress category of slow cooker? She can then show a pop-up for her favorite fall slow cooker recipes to only those that are visiting a slow cooker post. Are you with me on that? All y'all can do that. Well, most of you. Melissa, good luck. Those that are on WordPress, you can do that. How long does it take to get a good amount of segmentation or subscribers? Yeah, it'll take a while. It will take a while. I mean, but if you did all of these things and did a full court press, you're going to start building up these segments over time. But this is going to be your fastest approach because it's your newest, it's your freshest. By the way, I forgot to tell you this. You know what else Danielle can do? She can send out, this is all about Danielle today. You're the spotlight, Danielle and Misty. We're going to take Danielle's list and we're going to send them an email that says, hey, I made a thing. One of my favorite things to do in fall is just to bust out the slow cooker and get to work, because some of the best comfort foods of fall come from the slow cooker. And it's so easy. Set it and forget it. Dump and go, whatever your phrase is for slow cooker. If that's you and you want a 5-day series of my favorite slow cooker recipes, click here. And then that link trigger adds them into the slow cooker quick start guide. Bonus tip, Danielle, when you do that. In Kit, duplicate that quick start guide. Make a separate version of the exact same thing that is for existing subscribers versus new subscribers. You will find it interesting how the difference in the opens and clicks of the new subscribers versus the existing ones. You will also be able to see how do your existing subscribers behave when they sign up. You won't have this conflated metrics. You won't, you can back it out. It's just easier to see. Oh, we had 200 existing subscribers go through that. That's what I mean by existing subscribers. Okay? Look, we're going to wrap up here in just a moment. If you are struggling with this, as you can tell, I have strong opinions about this. I've done this so many times. The stuff that is obvious to me may be a new concept to you. So let me help if you want. Stick around afterwards and ask a question, and let's get you a plan for Q4. All right, let's do this. Your homework assignment. First of all, doggone it, let's launch that quick start guide. All right, nothing happens. All of this, nothing happens until you start growing the list. All right. So if you haven't done that, get that out there. Let's go. I hope that you built out your broadcast schedule. I hope that you got started with your Forever series. These are blocking and tackling fundamentals. But if you've done those things, now it's time to maybe think about what are the segments that you can serve. Oh, and do not forget, if you are on Kit, go check that those boxes are. You do that right now, okay? All right, tomorrow we're going to get into, I'm going to open up the fire hose. We're going to go fast. We're going to talk about selling your own products. We're going to talk about affiliate stuff. We're going to talk about sponsorships, what's real, what's not. What are the platforms doing? What are ways that you can what are some things that you can turn on right now to make a little extra money? What are the big dollar opportunities for you? We're going to talk about all those things. And some of it is simpler than others, but I'm going to give you a broad spectrum. If you have specific products, services, ways that you've been wanting to make money or that you're trying to make money, send me a note, send me an email. You can keep it super short, but say, I sell such and such. I want to sell more of it. Will you talk about that tomorrow? Okay. That'll help me cater my remarks to what we're doing. All right, cool. All right, that's it. If you got a question, stick around, unmute. If you have a pop-up you want me to look at that's not working, not driving traffic, I'll look at that. Any questions that you have, stick around. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow where we're going to get crazy and get rich. All right.
Hey, Matt, this is Todd. I had a quick question. Is this okay to ask it like this?
Yep.
Okay. I put it in chat too, but I just wanted to kind of clarify, like for segmentation. So I guess in my head, I thought it would be like an email of like, what are your interests? ABC kind of form or something, right? But you were saying like, and obviously it has to be a very specifically crafted email, but it's not necessarily a question what your interests are, but you're maybe offering them different things and to see what they click on and then segment with that.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Is that better response rate than a direct question, or do you not know?
Well, those are two very different things. First of all, you're saying, let's say it's what to do in San Diego this weekend. And you put out, go to these bars. All right. So you know that they have an interest in bar hopping if they click that. That's not a question. That's their behavior is telling you that. And behind the scenes, you're adding the tag. You're kind of like, without them knowing, you're saying, I know you're into bar hopping.
Could you even say like what to do this weekend in San Diego, offer a couple bars, a couple like family events, a couple whatever, right?
Exactly.
And segment it like that.
Yeah. So going back to the food example, let's say here's what to make this weekend. One is air fryer, one is slow cooker, one is some cookies. You could have a link, a trigger that tags the air fryer person as interested in air fryer, tag that slow cooker to do the same.
Can you tag somebody on two different segments?
Sure. Oh yeah, you can have multiple tags as a subscriber. You can have infinite tags.
Okay, and then if they're in two segments, ultimately they would get two different series.
You're using Kit for the San Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the word segment in Kit is a little different than what we're talking about here versus tags. A tag is simply a label.
Okay.
So you can have a label of interested in bars, interested in beaches. Those are two different tags. A segment is a filter where Kit says your audience of everybody who has the tag of interested in bars signed up more than a year ago, has the first name of Howard, and lives in the San Diego area. That's our segment.
Okay.
So that's what a segment in Kit is. It's just a filter.
So you only can have one segment per subscriber?
No, I mean, a subscriber can be part of multiple segments. So for example, you could have, if I'm both interested in bars and interested in beaches, you might have a segment that you're ready to send to at any time, all about bars.
Okay.
But then you might have the other filter, the other segment about beaches that says everybody who has ever clicked or who is tagged with interest in beaches and lives in the San Diego area. So I could be in both, right? I could easily be in both of those.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's awesome.
If you get stuck, like put together a draft, and if you don't figure out how to do it, then send me an email and I'll show you what.
So you would tag it. Each of the links you would tag.
Yeah.
Basically, right? Yeah.
It's
and then create segments after.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually fairly straightforward.
So sorry, I'm going to pop in. What we're talking about here is segmentation in Kit is adding tags.
In Kit, are you using Kit, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to be super clear for those that are in Kit, they have names that get confused. Tags and segments. They're on the right-hand side of the subscriber screen. Tags are just labels.
Yeah.
A segmentation is any kind of filter you can think of. It could be just people who signed up within the last month. It could be people who live in Anchorage, Alaska. It could be everybody whose name is Matt. It could be people who are subscribed to the Forever series. Like I do this a lot. I want to know, show me all subscribers that are not in the Forever series. I'm like, well, why aren't they in the Forever series? That's like kind of a diagnostic that I'll do is like, oh, it's one of my things not dropping them into the Forever series. So it gets a little confusing that way. That's just how they use the word segments. They're basically just filters.
Okay. So I switched from MailerLite to Kit recently, and people are like, segmentation. So I'm like trying to learn this whole other segment. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing with the tags and the groups. This is what we're talking about.
Right. So the question is, what do you want to do with a tag? What would you actually do with one of those tags?
So basically people who like sign up and want to learn about like a specific pattern. And so if I have updates about that pattern,
okay,
then to get it.
All right. So then you would have had to tag them somehow that said that they were interested in that pattern. And then your segment that you would create would be, all right, find me everybody who has signed up more than 30 days ago who is interested in that pattern. And let's create a group of those and let's send an email to them. That's how you might use a segment.
Okay.
Now, you can do that as a one-off when you're just creating a broadcast. You don't have to use a segment to make that filter. It's just if you're going to use that filter all the time.
Oh, it's like saving that.
Yeah, it's like saving a group. Yeah.
And if I save it, it will like automatically like populate new people?
Yeah. Every time. Yeah. The group is dynamic. The segment is dynamic. So people will come in and come out as they subscribe or they're not interested and they remove that interest tag if you have that option. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. Again, if you get stuck with a specific, like you're trying to accomplish something, either drop it in the Facebook group or send me a note and say, did I do this right?
Okay, I got something else if we're done.
I'm ready.
So recently also I moved from Mediavine to Raptive. Sorry, my family just got home. I moved from Mediavine to Raptive. So I'm on Grow, and now I'm learning, and while we're talking about Slickstream, Dove, and I realize that Raptive is offering, but this is the first I'm hearing about it. So do you recommend me switching from Grow to Slickstream?
Probably. I'm hesitant there. First of all, I know Raptive will want you to move. And here's the reasons why. Every one of their forms, and this is the reason why I would think that you would want to move too. Every one of their forms is more hooked into their systems. So when people come in, this is another way that they get information about your subscribers. Another reason, I didn't really talk about it, but that they want you to get more subscribers is because when they go through a form, if you have enabled that option within Raptive, which I think is the default option, they go, aha, I see Tony again. There's Tony. And we're going to capture Tony's information. So even if it didn't come from a newsletter, the fact that they signed up through one of your forms gets them onto the newsletter. That also can be where they learn about you. So that's another reason why they would want you to do that. I don't know the full impact of that. The only reason I'm hesitant, Aaron, is you have a lot of things on your plate that you've got to get done. So it's picking and choosing which things are going to move the needle most for you. If it's a massive undertaking to switch a particular form or whatever, then yeah, I might pause on that. But the support team at Raptive has actually been very good with my clients in helping them whenever there's like one of these transitional things that has to take place, or walking you through it or making it simpler somehow. So Slickstream, it just depends on what you're doing with Grow, because it isn't the exact same product and it's not exactly the exact same experience, but they're pretty close.
Okay.
And then I would tackle that, obviously, in order of how am I getting subscribers. So if it's, print pass versus gated print, then, and that's my number one thing, then I would switch that first and just go down the list.
Okay. Makes sense.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yep. Anybody else? All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I got to take this flannel off. It's too hot.
Thank you so much.
I really wanted to wear it, but I don't know if it's going to work. It may just be for the movie theater. We'll see. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.